Hey there, everyone. It's Julie at Think, Be, Do Leadership. And today we want to talk about not being an ostrich. And the reason why we want to talk about this is because I have an upcoming masterclass called the Confident Communicator, which is next. It's the 2nd of September at 2:00. So if you'd like to join that, then I'm going to put a link in the comments in a moment. But the thing is that one of the lovely gentlemen that has signed up for that class, and it's a free masterclass, was telling me about what's most important to him on that class. And he was talking about like, oh, my biggest issue is that I don't deal with things. I kind of avoid them when I should be dealing with them, hoping it's going to go away. It doesn't go away and gets all horribly old and hairy and really difficult to deal with by that point. And it makes me miserable and it makes everybody else miserable. And so I thought it would be good to speak about that because it's massively important, isn't it? Because I don't know about you, but have you ever actually ignored something hoping it's go away? Have you avoided being the one who says what needs to be said? Now, if you're listening to this live and you're sitting there thinking, oh my God, I do that all the time, then let me know. Stick it in the comments and say hello. Because, we all do it. We all do that stuff, don't we? We all avoid things that we wish would just go away because we hope they will. And often they do not. And so what we're left with is something that gets worse, something that gets more more difficult to say by the day, let's say, because if we don't challenge something, then we're almost permitting something. We're almost allowing that to happen. Therefore, it's actually harder to then go ahead and say something. Or somebody annoys us and we just don't say anything and they think it's okay. Now, I'll give you an example of something that I avoided and I wished I hadn't. It was when I was a lot younger and I had a boyfriend and his mum was a lovely lady. But one day she bought me something. I was vegetarian at the time. And she bought me a dinner. It was ricotta cheese cannelloni, and I was only 18. So you can see how long ago this is. It's stuck in my mind. But she bought me this dinner, and I said I liked it. Now the problem is that I did not like it, and it was actually quite horrible. But every week when I went round there to see my boyfriend, his lovely mum bought me this ricotta cheese cannelloni, and it was disgusting. Probably was lovely to other people, but it was horrible to me. And because I did not say something, and I actually actively said the wrong thing, which was that I liked it, she bought me it every single week. So I had to endure that pain and endure the embarrassment of now feeling like, how do I go ahead and say, actually, Beryl, I don't like that. I don't want it anymore. Please don't make me eat that stuff. It got to a point where I was actually nearly sick. You have to excuse my doggy in the background there, snuffling. So the thing is, you can see, even just like that silly little thing about not saying you don't like some certain food, you end up having to eat it. So if you've got a mother-in-law that gives you something you don't say something about, or you've got an uncle that says things to you that you wish they didn't and you haven't told them not to, or you've got somebody at work who needs to be told or needs to change the way they do something, or you just need to say something, then if you don't say it, it's only going to get worse. And so if you're listening live, please do say if you've ever got an example of that. It would be brilliant. And if you're listening to it on a replay, then do let me know and put #replay, and we will love to hear your comments too. And this is a painful thing if we do not deal with it. But why don't we deal with it? Why don't we say stuff? Why do we let it go? Why do we stick our heads in the sand like ostriches and make it hard on ourselves? Well, don't know. Are we scared? Do we need to put our big girl pants on? I'm not sure. Well, actually, maybe we need to look at it. It's like, yeah, let's look at scared. Why are we scared? Or why are we uncomfortable, let's say, if we're not scared? Well, we're uncomfortable because most people don't go around wanting to offend people or upset. And in our mind, we're thinking, well, if I say it, I'm going to upset somebody. If I say it, it's going to be awkward and uncomfortable. It's going to be difficult because they're not going to like it. And then it's going to end up in conflict. But what we know about conflict and what we know about upsetting people is it only ever gets bigger. So as you don't deal with it, this sense of, oh, if I say something, it's going to end up in conflict just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And therefore, same time as like if they ask you when's the best time to plant a tree, it was 10 years ago. But the best time to plant the tree is now if you didn't plant it 10 years ago. And the same goes with this. Never ever leave what needs to be said. Unless there's a really, really good reason why not now. But don't let it be just because you're putting your head in the sand. Does that make sense? Right. So what we need to think about is if we're going to say something, then if we're going to get brave and we're going to say something and take our head out of the sand and not avoid, then how do we, oh, hello, Katie, hi, how do we then go ahead and say what needs to be said, that difficult thing that needs to be said? Maybe it is, I don't know, Bob, you're kind of smelly, or Jean, you need to brush your hair, or whatever it's going to be that you need to say. My amazing examples there. How do you go ahead and say that? And I think it's really important to think about what's the purpose of what I'm going to say? What's the reason I'm saying it? And what's in it for that person? Why should they care less about what you want to say? Because if you just say something because it's something about you, then yeah, they may well get upset. But in reality, if we can make it about them and helping them, then they aren't going to see it as something that is nasty or in conflict. It's actually going to be useful to them. So we need to step into their shoes and understand what's going on for them. Understand why they go about doing what they're doing. What is going to help them to be able to see things from a different perspective. So we have to get into their shoes to help them to then understand, okay, this is the reason why they're doing it. They're fulfilling some kind of need. I need to talk to them about that by understanding where they are coming from. Does that make sense? Okay. So when we do that, we might look at, like, for example, Beryl, who used to buy me the ricotta cheese cannelloni. Why did she do that? Why didn't she give me salad? I don't know, right? So I could get really annoyed with her because she keeps giving me the same thing. But actually, she thinks she's pleasing me. So she wants to please me because I said something before. So if I'm going to challenge that, I need to step into her shoes and understand that she wants to please. She's doing it for a reason, and help her to see how she can do that in a different way. Okay. So if she thinks that giving me that is pleasing me, then how can I get her to see that actually, yeah, okay, I'm not, I don't want that every time, but actually I would really love, and then an alternative. So that's what I call that piece there is setting people up to succeed. What do I mean? Well, it's no good telling people that they've done something wrong if you don't give them an out for it, okay? Because you're pushing them into a corner. So if I said, Beryl, I don't like your ricotta cheese cannelloni, she's going to get that home because she's like, well, thanks very much. And that's not very nice, is it? But if I said, do you know what, Beryl, I really would love beans on toast, for example, I really fancy beans on toast. Would it be okay if we had beans on toast? Then you're diverting the success. She thinks she's doing success this way, and you're going to divert the success. You're giving her a way to succeed. And what often happens, and this is why we get into conflict and why we avoid it in the first place, because we sometimes just tell them what we don't like rather than helping people succeed by giving them what we do want. So when we're challenging this behavior, we have to tell them what we don't want, but we have to tell them what we do want as well. Okay. And Katie probably recognized this, but I'm going to talk to you a little bit about, and I'm always talking about this, but what I call the bin model, which is behavior impact need, which is when I get ricotta cheese cannelloni every week, it does get me a little bit, I was going to say something silly then. I maybe getting a bit bored of it. And the impact is that I'm feeling a bit like, could I have something else? Would it be possible to have beans on toast? Yeah. So don't just tell poor old Beryl that I don't want something or I don't like it, but giving her the out. So if you've got something to say and something to criticize, we often avoid this criticizing of other people, or we hold it in until we really do go for it. But we often avoid criticizing other people. So we say nothing at all and we don't deal with it because we're not thinking, how can I give them a way out? We only think about, what don't I want? So if you start to think about how can I give them a way out, what do I want instead, then it's going to be much, much more comfortable to do that. So I want to leave you with that, because then you're thinking about the other person, and then it doesn't feel so bad, because actually you're helping them to succeed. You're showing them a new way. And if you think that was interesting, then we are going to be doing a much more detailed explanation of how to not avoid conflict, how to step up and communicate well, and to have the impact that you want. And we're going to be doing that on the 2nd of September at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. It's a live masterclass, and I have just hopefully there put in the registration link. Hopefully, let me know if it's come through, and by all means register for that if you would like to attend. And if you feel like you would like to know more, then either come along to that or just message me and we can have a chat about how that can work for you, in creating your impact and influence and creating you as a successful, confident communicator who gets things done and gets what you want. And then we can look at how we can implement that in your business for you and for your team. So have a wonderful evening. It's now nearly time to go home, I'm sure. If you have any questions, please let me know. It's Julie from Think Be Do Leadership talking. Thank you, Katie's let me know it's come through. Okay, talking about not avoiding those difficult conversations, but turning our frame around in our mind as to how we can actually make that a success rather than a failure. So thank you very much. Thank you, Katie, for your comments. And if you're going to be listening to this on the replay, thank you. Just stick a hashtag replay and I will reply to your comments. Thanks very much. Have a wonderful evening. Take care. Bye-bye, Katie.